and welcome once again to What's Going On. I'm Arcturus, and we are here on the Forerunner server to bring you the latest in what's going on in Watcher of Realms. I'm Mark. As ever, this is a community-based podcast, and please do remember to like and subscribe and get involved down in the comments section. Share it with your friends because it really does help grow the channel. We have got over 400 subscribers, and my goal is to reach 500 by the time the 1 year anniversary of this podcast, which is in May. So please do encourage, if you are a new viewer, please do share, or if you're a long-time viewer and you haven't yet subscribed, please do subscribe because it does help me. Okay, Sebastian has joined me this week. It's not going to be an epic session like last week because people have social lives and these podcasts can go on. So we're going to try and keep it quite tight today. So obviously we have a few things to talk about. I think the first one to talk about is the Gala event, which has rocked up into everyone's thing, this Till Kingdom Come event, which is on at the moment. Now, this kind of came out of nowhere. They kind of put some hints out saying, oh, there's this Kingdom Come event, and it's like, it's going to last a long time, and this is why. And everyone's kind of like, why? What's the reasoning behind this? And then towards the middle of the week, there was some more news that came out from the developers, which started to paint more of a picture around why they might be doing this. So, as we spoke about in January, a few or so many episodes ago, after there was the change in the US law, and ByteDance, the parent company of Moonton, retaliated and pulled the game out of the app stores, and then it came back in after about 3 days, but there was a period. They were given like a 90-day grace period, and we were coming towards the end of that, weren't we, Sebastian?
April 5th.
Yeah, so we were coming quite a long way in, and now we've got this event. We know that the app was removed from the Google Play Store on the 26th of March and the Apple Store on the 29th of March, and there's a slight gap now until the game is available again. So to have an event which keeps everyone who's already playing the game keep coming into the game, giving them an incentive to spend money in the game during this period now makes a lot more sense. So you got this celebration event lasts for however long it is, so 12 days or so, with all these crazy rewards, which is included privilege cards, uncommon soul stones, loads and loads of ancient crystals and summon stones and stamina potions and so on and so forth. It does start to make a lot more sense why.
So it's a nice event to keep us busy, at least. I think that number one, the only thing that I want to say here, because the dev contact has emphatically asked us to make sure that we get the point across. If you are watching this and you are a US player, please do make sure that you get the transfer over and do it as soon as possible. I did post a video as to how to go through it and walk through it, and I actually did it in the emulator. So if you are a mobile user, which most of the players are, you can kind of just copy the transition as I did. So download the new app. So it's actually labeled Watcher of Realms US. It's a brand new app. Okay, it's not that Moontime-based app. It's now actually an app by Skystone Gaming, and that is exactly the one question that I wanted to get answered. Is exactly how they were going to protect themselves from the law. And essentially what they did is that they did kind of like a franchise deal for all of us here in the United States. McDonald's is a popular one, right? There is a brand name, but then people individually can open up chains under that name and sell the product as is. Skystone Gaming is kind of doing a similar approach to that. It's just they're copying things over to their servers. They brought in all the US players, which is kind of what we predicted at the beginning. It's just, putting all the US players into one server. But there was that caveat is, would they split us from the rest of the global server? would just be on their cell. And that question was also answered, which was no. They're still able to manage to integrate all of you that are non-US users with the Moonton app with those with the Skystone app in here in the United States servers. So it was a nice little thing that they did there to get around this. So yeah, is everything here in the United States is going to be labeled under Skystone Gaming, but things are still going to be dictated by Moonton. Skystone Gaming is just copying things over.
Yeah. I mean, I have also heard suggestions, and I do not endorse this in any way, that some people are using VPNs to try and get the transfer rewards if they're not US. There could be issues with your account if you do that down the line. I really don't recommend doing that. I know there's videos out there, I know people are saying, don't do it.
You might get stuck using a VPN if you do that, because remember, once that Moonton app goes away, at least for us United States players, we won't be able to use it. I'm not sure if you do transfer your account and you're in another country using this VPN thing to do the transfer reward, if you're going to be affected down the line because you did that. It's a little bit sketchy, and I'm surprised that people are suggesting to do that. I also do wonder, is because of the special codes that we have to input, if those non-US IP accounts are going to be allowed to be transferred. It would be interesting to know if that's exactly what they're doing. So, yeah, just be careful. Be careful on how you do that. If you do decide to try to get an essence out of it, which is not worth it. It's not worth wrecking your account.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone who's been playing the game for about a year or even longer, then you don't want to lose all that progress on the game. So, for the chance of some rewards, which would be nice, I get it. I mean, Forerunner servers didn't get the 500 gems for the arena problem. We've had so many other problems, but we rarely get rewards for them. But this one, just don't risk your account over it. Walk away from it. So as you can see, Gala Quest, there was a little bit of concern about there being enough balloons and cake to get everything, but this is the end of week 1. I have completed nearly the entire run. You probably can't see it quite behind Sebastian. Let me flip them up for a second. There you go. So I'm on 32 out of 40 so far. So yeah, I'm nearly there. And there was a bit of concern about people who had Titanic Ruins and they restarted it, but the devs have already made up for that one, and they've said, no, it's fine. Here's some extra balloons and a slice of cake to make up for that. So you don't need to worry about it. And the progress one was another one. It's fine. Everyone's going to max that out. And Celebration Show.
Math, I was just going to say, if you do the math, you don't need to summon. There's enough cake in there.
And this one again, progress rewards if you do the raids. So I've done the 4,000. I've done all the other progress things, and look there you can see 6,700 or so, 6,700. So yeah, I'm nearly there, and it's nearly done. And this is the end of week 1. It's going to be doable. It's completely doable by everybody. You just got to participate in the game, do the stuff you normally do. By Tuesday, I'll probably have this match. I haven't done today's knapsack expeditions. That's another 200-300. That'll get me over the 6,800 easily. And then it's just I've got to get 7,000 to get the thing. So yeah, nearly done.
For my Forerunner account, I already completed it, and that Soulstone went to Dio-chan right away. I had no qualms about it. It was no question for me. For this account, I need A1 Dio-chan with the new content, and that's who exactly I slapped it in. And I know that we've seen through our clusters now, we've seen questions like that: A1 Dio-chan or pick your other hero. Yeah, exactly. Little things like that. So for me, it was. If you don't have A1 Dio-chan, I would strongly consider that you put it on top of your list, but do an analysis of your account and see where you would benefit from it. In my global account, I'll probably just go in storage for a little bit, and then I'll make an assessment. But yeah, for me, it was A1 Daochan.
Yeah, that's definitely who's getting it for me, because my Soulstone count, I'm in a real Soulstone drought on this account, and I really need a bit of luck on the old Soulstones. So the chance to get a free Soulstone to drop into Daochan is really, really welcome after all the effort I tried to put into summoning her when she was available. Right, so on to the patch notes, and we're on Solcadens version 3 now. So we've had Solcadens rework got reworked, and now the version on Forerunners matches the version on Global, and it's 2 units. First of who during Pyro Blitz offer 50% of their attack and 60% of their crit damage. So Sebastian did a video comparing the analysis. I'll put a link to it just above, and that basically breaks it down. So basically, it's slightly better if you're running 2 units, but slightly worse if you're running in on its own.
Pretty much, yep. And I did all my stuff in A1 testing, so the vulnerabilities apply to this. But if you're in that A0, A2 range, maybe A3, the same principle applies. Is if you were using it for some reason as a standalone mage, he does not do as much damage as he did previously. But if you do bring him in, team him up with other Infernos, then you're going to get that boost. You're going to see the difference. And so, yeah, they made him so you have to bring others along with him to really make him pop.
Yeah, I know a lot of people used to use him in Gear Dungeon 2 to take out some of the magic clones, so maybe he might not work there as well.
He can do, unless you were like just almost breaking even or something like that, then you might get like 25% damage on that blast. But, you know, I guess the way that I would put it is there are ways to compensate, but we'll see. We'll see if people get upset by that. But that extra boost to get with the 2 extra Infernos, they did that for a reason. And, you know, we've seen here in the leaderboards as to why that has become more effective now. And also, they made a distinction between him and Twinfin now, too.
Yeah. Definitely, it's much more distinct characteristic, especially in the sort of the ultimates and how that's executing as well. I mean, it was kind of there already in the leader skills, but this kind of makes it a bit more focused. That he's not a sole operator. He previously was a better single target unit. Now he still does some big AOE damage, but he's not doing it on his own. He's bringing it with.
Right. So. Yeah, so I call it. People are going to either see it as a buff or a nerf depending on how you were using him. You're just going to have to reevaluate your usage, right? But in this other update, they're adding something now to the Power Blitz. Now that everything's been fixed,
yeah,
they're actually adding something to it, which is interesting as to why they would specifically pick on that.
Yeah. So the next big hero rework, and one who was long overdue, was Falcia. Falcia, the female Witcher, if you want to go down that route, has had a big rework, and it's a fantastic one for her. Pretty much every issue that people had with a kit, they've gone away, they've looked at, and they've tried to address it. I mean, I think the A5 is possibly the only weakness that remains, but overall, I think it's a fantastic rework for her. She was a 1-tiled fighter; she's now a 2-tile fighter. Her demon stance was hampered by the fact that you needed to put attack speed in her, so they now boosted her attack damage by 25% when going into the demon staying slants, which is just here on the screen. And then she's doing bonus damage as well. Shadow Slash has been reworked, so it doesn't stop. She will then continue attacking other enemies if the unit she's attacking dies. She didn't used to do that. She just used to go, "Oh, I've killed my enemy. End of ultimate. Back onto basics." She now gains extra attack damage equal to 20% shield strength, and she has the ability to gain her own shield when she's doing her attacks.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
so if as a esotericist, she still has the ability to put on herself, so then she can still get an advantage to use that with the extra attack. And so I can tell you that the rework so far from what I've been able to test is decent. She's not going to come up to Kagiri level though, but they gave her enough of a boost where people are going to be enticed to go after her in a limited banner.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a really nice addition to her. One of my biggest complaints about using Valkyra in the Arbiter faction is the fact that she has very limited ways of gaining shields unless she's running her own artifact. This is like taking that requirement for I'm powered up by shields and actually baking it into her kit as I will grant myself a shield so I can do this to myself. And because she runs really, really quickly, her base attack speed is 2.6 seconds. Okay, not the slowest, but it's easy to get that speed down to a 0.6 second interval. She's attacking constantly, and she will be ramping up her damage so well and so effectively that she's going to be one to consider purely for consistency of damage across the two phases in Abyss. I don't have her, I can't test her, but for me, the fact that she's magic damage, true damage, and physical damage, so she's going to be consistently putting out 95% damage on one of her swords, and then she's going to be going into true damage where she's slashing all the time and doing bonus true damage, and then in the other mode she'll be doing physical damage and true damage in that mode as well. So she's got so much potential for just consistency of damage across this.
Yeah, so like I have to finish my analysis, but so far it's looking promising with her. My only thing is about getting that lore boost, just to at least get her ramped up a little bit. It's really hard to make a northern team right now in Abyss, so I don't know if there's something that's coming down the pipeline later. And
I still think there's an Elder rework on the cards. I think it's Venoma then Elder. I really do.
You know what? I wouldn't get it past them if that's indeed the case. If Elder is going to get a rework, it would be really intriguing to see if he can boost her a little bit more if there is a rework coming.
Yeah, it's just in the same way that he's a one-tile fighter, and that's one of the biggest complaints against him in his shields. Again, could really be with a way of like doing more with his shields, because he has to be hit, and then it just messes him up because he's not quite tanky enough to be a front row fighter, and he's not quite he can't tank and he can't be in a full attack fighter. So they just need to do something with him. I still am a big advocate of reworking HP scaling fighters so that the full damage they do is their HP, and they just lower the crit damage multiplier so that you can't then have them doing 500 damage on a single blow. It's got to be through multipliers within the kit that they get there. But I think there's some potential if they looked at that, but they don't seem willing to. They seem they've chosen a mathematical system and they don't want to touch it. This works like So anyway, that's complaints about Elder aside. The Falcia thing is there. Mystical has done some testing with her. What I've seen of his video looks pretty good. I will stick a link to it down in the description, and look out for Sebastian's video when he posts it. If he posts it before this video goes live, I will link to it. Okay, right, that was that. Rushing through all this. All of her Awakens got a buff as well, so she gives inflicts damage reduction on her ultimate, so that's going to be a nice one as well for targets which damage, and it's for 15 seconds, and she cycles her ultimate really, really quickly. So she's going to have pretty consistent uptime on that. A 3 increases every 100% attack speed. So this is like the extra attack speed bonus. So there are two speed related stats. One is specialized attack speed, where attack speed ramps down really, really quickly, and extra attack speed, which is for every extra 100 attack over a threshold, you get something. In this case, it's 8% bonus damage. So that could be interesting for a hero which you're loading attack speed on. So that's including the base 100. So she starts with a base 8% attack damage increase, and then for every 100 attack speed, that's an extra 8%. So easily an extra 30 to 40% damage on that for her.
So I think what she was suffering from early on was what I really perceived to be her low multipliers, right? She had decent attacking, build attacking her and all this stuff, right? But in the end, I think it was just all about those multipliers. It wasn't really pushing as much as we could. But now they're boosting, at least from what I hear, is that they're boosting everything in terms of attack, what she gains. Not only that, there's additional damage that's calculated at the back end. So, you take all of this, you should see that boost. And then what even helps even better now is that if you are able to get her artifact fully level, you're going to get not additional damage now instead of getting additional crit damage, because eventually the crit damage plateaus. So it would be, in some situations here, it was unnecessary to do it. So there were some builds that I was throwing around with her where in her previous it was, okay, so I have her artifact all the way level. She gains so much extra critical damage. You don't really have to go above 370. So everything on the left side would just be attack speed, attack bonus, and crit rate, right? And then you just try to take advantage of that specialized attack speed, which if you couldn't reach that threshold, you were not going to get enough damage. In this one here, they just said, okay, just build her with attack. That's where the damage is coming from.
Yeah. Okay. Solcadens, we've both talked about. They've added in a stun, but it's for 2 seconds, and it's on a skill which takes 12 seconds to execute. So it's really, really, yeah.
It's questionable, right? It's like, why?
Why?
Does he need that?
Because everyone's using him in Semra?
For one damage reduction stack. It was like, it's all right, sure. I think they wanted to make him look better. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it's an extra debuff so that anyone running A5 Volker can get extra damage boost because it's an extra debuff on the enemy. It's only 2 seconds. I don't get it. I don't get it.
There might be a hero coming that does damage based on how many stunts the opponent. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see exactly why this was needed.
The rise of Azor. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I still need to do more testing with Rygar and Azor because I really think there's some potential there. Anyway, that's a side story. Right, Calypso. Calypso has had a nice rework. I've done some so basically now every Soulstone. So Calypso, let me just jump gallery because it's easy behind me. Here we go. So Calypso, you may or may recognize her in her other skin, but this is her. She gets these Soulstones that appear over her head. They attack the enemy for 25% damage, 25% damage, and that's it really. And she does these sort of, everything is a basic attack, everything increases its attacks on the enemy, and she basically made her a bit more useful. So each shield stone does 30% of her base attack on the unit when leveled up. So when you've got 4, that's 120% bonus damage. So each basic attack is basically doing 240% damage. And when she gets to A5, she gets an extra one, so that's up to 270% with each attack. The slight problem is that the attack it doesn't come in one hit. It comes in multiple hits over time, so everything has to be damage calculated for that. So everything gets reduced, and it's not quite as effective as it could be, I think. But it's very good for pulling down stacks of the boss in Lord of Sticks, if you want to go down. Anyway, she's now able to inflict physical damage vulnerability, and each steel stone increases damage by 10%. And this is quite good. It's basically, it's a 7-second vulnerability, and she's able to inflict it every 7 seconds. And if you're running her at a 1% attack interval, that will easily be 9 attacks. You'll have done 7 attacks by the time 7 seconds have passed. So that will be 100% uptime on this 20% physical vulnerability. Quite nice.
That's one of the big things about her right now, right? That it's just bringing this debuff in. So it's not only about her, but also who is accompanying her to begin to come along with, to take advantage of this. So, I think that the whole thing here is going to be about single target damage. I think you just before we started, you told me that you tried her out in arena, but I don't think that that's her place, and it won't be, because it just takes too long for her to get going, to get those stones to come out. So
actually, I'm willing to just dive into the trainer now and show you. At A1, she instantly starts with 1 soul stone, and that works straight away. I mean, what I was trying to do is compare her to a Silas. As could you, instead of having Silas, start with Calypso? And it actually works okay, but it's not. As the rounds go on, she struggles more and more.
She gets overrun. Okay.
Yeah, she gets overrun. She's not able to take things down in the same way as Silas is. But for the first couple of rounds, it takes her a bit longer to take out the first wave than it does to take Silas to take out the first wave. And in the second wave, it is where she really starts to ramp. So she's already got 1 soul stone there. She's got the second one there, and it goes down. And there you go. That was cutting a bit fine, but she was able to do it. He's onto a third soul stone, and this guy just melts. You can see how quickly he's going down. But then when you get into the really nasty ones at the back end of the thing, is when it starts to fall to pieces.
Yeah, because they have that damage reduction. You can't go over a certain threshold. They're healing at the same time. So yeah, that's sketchy. That beginning part there, though, that's kind of concerning, because if you are depending on her to do that and make sure that she catches him before he leaves, if for some reason a team comes at you with 60,000 higher BP, that thing is going to get by. So it has to be calculated. So she's just instantaneously taking him out like a Yuri would. You know, if you place a Yuri there and get her, and then she just eliminates everything. You can't give that wave too much of a chance to get by you, because
this is where she starts to struggle from around about wave 4.
Because where the damage reduction starts. Yeah, right? There's so much new, and so she has to. Yeah, and I can see.
But I mean, that's it really. She's okay, but she's not game changing in arena. But she is able to compete those first couple of waves, and at least give you an opportunity to do something. And then she is applying vulnerability, which you might be able to take advantage of with other units. But yeah, at the end of the day, she's not going to be a Silas replacement for people who don't have Silas.
No, maybe a Silas booster, but no, not a Silas replacement.
I was I was also trying to use her as a Silas booster, so have her in the top corner above where I place Kai. Because then you've got the opportunity there to get some vulnerabilities. Units are coming across, and Silas can just whittle them down a bit faster. But I couldn't get this I couldn't get the timing right on that yet. I'm going to keep playing with it and see what I can do, but not. I don't see her working just yet. Okay,
listen. At least they gave her a talent. She was missing it for a while, so maybe down the line there's something else coming along. And there's so many other stuff here that we haven't talked about, like her breastplate and her artifact as well.
Yeah,
that's all a rework.
Yeah, absolutely. Her breastplate does an extra 5% damage per soul stone, so that's base 20% and up to 25%. On top of an extra 4% from her talent, so that's like 36% just from putting some gear on her. By the time she's run her ultimate 4 times, if you've got her A1, she cycles that really, really quickly because each attack is doing an extra 30 rage. Yeah, she's able to get them out quickly. She's just not able to keep up in arena on her own. Base of it. Yeah, the vulnerability is nice. I just can't find a place to use it. Titus, the Iron Warden, the most expensive unit in the game, has had
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Not anymore. It used to be the most expensive unit in the game. This guy has had his cost reduced from 31 to 22. So he's sitting there with Cratch, and I will leave it at that.
Yeah, I was hoping that there'd be a little bit more to him besides the cost. Maybe like he regenerates a little bit of health for damage that he does, even though he doesn't do a lot of that. There's something to allow him to survive a little bit more, so you're not depending on because he can't get healed, right? So I was thinking maybe there was something else that they could add to him, or like damage reduction, something just to give him in comparison to other epic defenders that we have in the game. But
yeah, when they said there was early in the sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think that early and mid gamers now will actually find some utility to him if they manage to pull him or be one of the early tanks at least, right? Mm-hmm. But you just can't be like, I want you to take this big hit, because there's nothing that allows him to recover that health or boost
unless
the rage.
He's in his ultimate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you need something to boost his rage to get there. So yeah, I guess you'll take that. And now we just give. I think if I sucker is Ares now is the highest one, right? 26.
Yeah. Ares and the dragons are the highest. So
yeah.
Right, so next up, Malvira's had a slight fix where the trigger interval for her skill on Oath of the Damned could sometimes be inaccurate. Okay, so that's good. And they've fixed an issue where inspiration could sometimes be incorrect when multiple heroes with inspiration are present on battlefield. I'm aware of this because someone sent me the videos and I forwarded them onto the dev team ages ago. And basically, it was possible to double inspire a unit, and it shouldn't have been possible, but it was. And the video I was sent had Constance and Dolores inspiring the unit.
Oh, what that's specific to those two here? Because when I went and after the Wind of Grace immigration interaction was fixed, I actually played around with that to make sure that it was working correct, and I didn't notice anything like that. But if it was a specific to like round tile, platform tile, doing it separately, then that would have been. Yeah. Okay. But all right. So I wasn't really, at least I wasn't aware of it. But I'm glad that at least you picked it up, and we're able to show that to them.
Yeah. Well, okay. Some nice. A nice rework for Cataclysm set. Hell's Lament, they're still trying to nudge in the right general direction. So Cataclysm is now on par with Soulbound Arcana. As long as you are hitting units consistently, you're going to have those five. You're going to have those 5 stacks. You're going to have the 50% cap, and if you then add that to the utility that you can get from the exclusive gear, it becomes really, really good. So if you can get, for example, Arrogance's amulet, which reduces his rage cap by 100, and you can get the Cataclysm Nightmare piece with decent stats, and you're able to run those two together, then you've got a really nice opportunity for a Cataclysm set there on a unit, and he's getting an extra 5% chance of proccing the extra basic, and you've got an extra chance of getting into his ultimate faster because you've lowered his rage cap. So and then you're just hitting consistently. So the only people who aren't really going to benefit are units who aren't hitting very.
Yeah, I have to test this. I don't know if 5% is going to be enough, because in previous tests that I've done with multiple heroes, especially the new ones, anytime you compare Infernal Roar, Soulbound Arcana, or Cataclysm would struggle to keep up with Soulbound in some instances. I know, for the example, Lubu, it didn't, at least from the test that I did, and it didn't really matter if he was Soulbound Arcana or Infernal Roar. At the end, I decided Infernal Roar because you get an additional boost at the beginning, especially in Arena, where he is primarily, that's his place, his Arena. But you would need, if this Cataclysm indeed, this little boost, not just that, I'll give it to you. But unfortunately for like Lubu, his faction, it only gives him extra HP, so that doesn't help in that regard. Yeah. So unless there's a chaotic, specific, exclusive piece of gear that is coming down the pipeline, it's going to be situational as to who's going to benefit from this. So I'll have to go and peek at it and see which type of hero would benefit from this. On top of it, now it is a lot harder to acquire a Cataclysm set, especially one that is spicy, right? Unless you're farming 500,000 runs every day, it's going to take a while to put a good Cataclysm piece together, or set together.
Cataclysm sets I can get, like I've got hundreds of them, and I've probably got about 3 Cataclysm sets that are of decent stats. They're all purple stats. The ones which I cannot get, Wings of Grace. I have 1 Wings of Grace set. It's on my Dolores.
Yeah.
Hell's Lament. I'll just age this up a little bit more. So basically, they've taken on board a bit more feedback saying no one's running Hell's Lament. So they've boosted the damage by an extra 5%, and they've increased the crit damage by an extra 10%, ignoring the biggest issue with the kit. The fact that most of the units that this is given to have a 20-second ultimate. Karmet for one, Silas being another, and it's only lasting for 12 seconds of their ultimate, which makes it useful. Because as soon as that drops, then...
Yeah, you made the same comment that I did when I previewed this, and it was like, it wasn't the damage, it was the duration. If they would have flipped this and said, we're going to keep the damage the same, but we'll give you 20 seconds, now we have something to play with. Now we have something to consider. But yeah, that was the biggest discrepancy. We made this comment a while ago, even when we were evaluating this thing. Most of the exclusive gear that is being released in Hell Elements for the heroes that we have currently in game are exactly that. Their ultimates last more than 12 seconds. So you can only take advantage of half the time. So are they saying, okay, we'll give you more damage for that half a time?
Salazar loves this. I mean, because he has like a 2-second ultimate.
That's it, right. But it doesn't make sense releasing exclusive gear for Silas and Komet, for example, for this set, given the duration of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Currently, if they just said for the duration of the ultimate, then that would have been fine. I mean, it's a big boost. Salazar might have lost out a little bit, but at the end of the day, he's being power crept. I mean, Arena 3, you don't really see him in the teams anymore. Certainly not at the level that I'm playing at the moment. I haven't seen a single Salazar today, and it's just, yeah, it's not. He's not able to keep pace in the current arena. You can use him still in guild bosses. He's absolutely fine there, but he's just not doing the crazy stuff he was doing. But this is a lovely quality of life change, which is Ancient Gear's primary attributes can now include percentage attack percentage and percentage HP, to stop people getting healing effect stuff and crit damage pieces. Ancient
But that makes sense.
Yeah,
especially when our heroes, some HP or attack based heroes, you want attack or HP to show up on some of these pieces, right? You just can't build them all on healing effect as much as they want to pop that formula at us on the dev insights. It caps out. And
it is possible to run a full healing effect Eloin, because I know, because I do it, but that's because I'm running her exclusive gear and she gets bonus health, so I'm basically stacking my health from the healing effect. But yeah, it does cap out around 250. The effectiveness does start to drop off. It's how you want to run them.
Oh, I mean, with the ancient pieces, it was like, oh, you're going to be healing perfectly is whether you can stay alive, because never would you get HP out of it, or you had to get the substats on the other side, or you would hope maybe one great piece with an HP main that had attack, heal, the other stuff, then maybe. But that was the in terms of optimizing your build, that's always what made it complicated. It's not having that HP percentage ever in any piece.
Yeah. Okay, and on to the last couple. Optimize the display of exclusive gear in the shop. You can now preview secondary attributes of the gear. This has been live for a while. Why do they sneak these things into patch notes when they've been live? Anyway, they're there. They're done.
They forget.
And they forget. And they upgrade points for event. So they set up a note saying that they shut down the oracles for a period, and then they said, oh no, this is because we're rescaling the points, and this is what they've done. And so now the tiers have been reset, the points, the rewards have been reset. These are the points rewards you get across the bottom for completing oracles. So they've now rescaled them. There's trying to navigate across to one of the many oracles which is on at the moment. So you can just about see that if I lift Sebastian up. So these have been rescaled slightly. It's more. I think it's more of a jump between the last two than it was previously. I think before it was pretty linear. Now it's more of a jump, but I think it's to try and encourage you to keep playing rather than hitting the top rewards and then stopping. So there's kind of space going. But anyway, they're there. Would have been nicer if they'd done a bit more with these rewards and maybe encouraging people to go for them a bit more. Is what it is.
We'll see what happens after the 17th. How quickly they change all of
this. The jump in arrival of heroes, which is pretty big again. It's 5,740 and then 7,360 for the last two rewards. Okay, so I think that was the end of the patch notes. There might have been one last thing. But yeah, that was it.
There was so many announcements released that I lost track of some of them, and that's the pyro. fixed.
That's the Pyro Blitz fix and the correction of the Pyro Blitz so that it matched global. I mean, it's been an absolute crazy period because they have literally gone through their development pathway and just dumped it all out to the player base as safely as they can before the apps disappear from the stores. I'm not expecting any Forerunner updates for a few weeks. I hope I'm wrong, but on the basis of that they're not going to be doing any major updates, I'm not really anticipating seeing anything because they'll be making sure that the transfer goes as smoothly as possible.
Well, I can tell you that for Forerunners, they shouldn't, because it's easy. They just can implement the changes. We can try them out, play around with them, keep that player base, just engaged would be the word there.
Yeah.
But they do the same thing that they did when they had that problem with the Apple Store. It's just they left Forerunners. Just okay. Here's something else. Here's something else. Here's something. And then when global was ready, or they were ready for global, they just one big massive dump.
And everyone who's
the whole. It's like there's no problems with Forerunners when it comes to whether you're Google or Apple Store, right? Because if you're in Forerunners, you had access to begin with, or some of us had to VPN in, but we can still access it. We don't need the stores. Global, does, in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, the key thing to take away is that everyone who's saying, "Oh, where's Numera? I really want Numera," you're not missing anything. She's a poison hero. Poison is not a meta. Don't worry about it. She'll come in time, and hope that they hold off from releasing her on global until they work out what the hell they're doing with poison at the moment, because it's nothing to write home about. But it needed to be stopped from what it was doing, because it was crazy that you had a common unit taking down Gear Raid 321 on their own. That was never intended, and you can't say that it was.
Well, I mean, in addition to Numera, we're still waiting for the workup on Carosa. I mean, as much as you try to say she can do some stuff. I mean, there's still, she needs to come to 2025. Essentially, what's happening here, right? She's been aged a little bit, so there's that rework. I do think that that's probably something that they're probably working on down the line, because they haven't had a fusion type event in a while. So I would expect that to be coming down the pipeline soon, so they can get player or a new player coming in, something to work towards too. So
all those people who are 222 out of 223, you will have your opportunity to get Philippa at some point in the future. I'm sure.
Yeah. The only other thing that I had from last week that we didn't really answer was the gear management or gear recommendations. So I did kind of figure it out, if you just want to go. So essentially what it is, you set up your essential attributes, the attributes that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And then you have to select out which one you want to see.
Yeah, so you can also choose your primary stats as well that you want to focus on.
Well, that's the other thing. This is why I was telling you that 20 wasn't enough, because breastplate to a weapon is different things, right? Unless it's an ancient piece. So you have to specialize for that. So essentially is what it is, for example, in the easy example would be weapon. So in weapon, you're going to say, okay, I want attack bonus, I want crit rate, crit damage, and attack speed. And then you go into the essential, or the one that you say you must have it. So for mine, it's attack bonus. I want to make sure that it's attack bonus on every piece. I don't want crit rate, crit damage, attack speed. That's that like a bit. So based on how I'm seeing the check marks now, it's if it doesn't have attack bonus, it's not even going to consider it. It goes in the bin. But I would say that at the beginning, when you're doing your runs and you clear things out, just give it a quick check and make sure that everything is lined up accordingly to how you want it. and I think you should be fine. So, for example, Immortal Astro Guardian pieces, HP defense bonus for me. They have to have it, otherwise I'm not going to use them.
Yeah,
so you have to have
I said it, and I've had a play, and I'm not 100% sure I got mine right. So I'm not going to try and suggest I share my codes with anybody on Forerunners because I'm not convinced they're right yet. But do have a play, do experiment, but yeah, do double check that it's working.
The thing with this is, I understand that people sometimes want shortcuts and they just want to copy somebody else's, but also keep in mind that you have to adjust it based on your account, based on the heroes that you have as well, based on in the mode that you're more enthusiastic about playing. There are different things. So if you just go and copy content creators, that content creator might have made it specifically for mid game, but once you get into late game or even in end game, it won't be applicable to you. There is a rule for Guardian sets that I have that I bet you most players don't have, and that is because now in the end game we're more JVG centric. So always go and adjust it to what you need, what you think you're going to need for the type of mode that you're playing. So it's easy to copy paste, but not every account is the same.
Yeah. Cool. I see. I don't like Life Force, so all of my Life Force gear that comes in is instant.
Yeah. I'm getting there too. With Life Force, if it doesn't have attack speed now, it goes in the bin. So that's pretty much what I'm looking for there.
I never have enough of the golden meteorite to upgrade them. So it's like, well, I can't be bothered to get an ancient Life Force piece that I'm never going to upgrade. So bin, just get rid of them.
And it's surprising too how much Wicked Vengeance has downscaled Warlord. I mean, I do still keep some pieces around, because once you want maybe your healers to have a little extra attack or something like that, there's always things that you can do with Warlord. But I mean, now that the Wicked Vengeance has come in and I have accumulated some pieces, now I can go back and say, well, I'm never going to refine this piece. Bin. So yeah, exactly. So it makes inventory a little bit more tolerable. So.
Yeah, all right. I still got a lot of gear managing to do.
Very quiet week, and nothing in global except for the transfer. Do your transfer, and then once global gets to experience arena, we can possibly talk a little bit more about it. But if you see my logs, I haven't been doing arena, and I don't really care. I don't care. It's so bad.
It's brutal. I've resorted to trying to refresh and find non-Valderon teams to attack, because otherwise it's just a wasted attack. Even then, it's AoE Reaving is a mess. Yeah.
Single target right now is you got to get a hero Valderon, and if you can't do it, you just might as well not even try. Just hope your defense can stack up, and that's it. But oh man. All right. Abyss 1, people are getting excited about it. I heard of the first 60,000 in the nation server. With a lot of A5. That's not surprising. But eventually, I think that from what I'm seeing, especially from the global server, at least in the guild that I'm in, they're really trying to make a push that everybody now hits it, especially if they have endgame accounts. And so, you're right. It's exactly what we predicted. Everybody's going to have to put in about 22, 25 to even get it down. And you just got to hope that 1 or 2 accounts in the guild can hit that 30 threshold just to compensate for the bottom ones.
Thanks for tuning in. Definitely a shorter episode than this week. It did actually run to the hour, which is a bit unfortunate for Sebastian, who said he wanted to get away. But so thank you for joining in. Do like, share, subscribe, and tune in next time for more fun on What's Going On.